How are you, Scarlett? Oh, that's right. Your mic doesn't work. Never mind. Don't say anything. All right. So, hello, everyone. Sorry we're running late here. Getting everything set up. I'm going to post up the broadcast URL in just 1 second. It's right there. All right. So, now I'm going to get some slides going on. Give me 1 second there. Set up. I'm going to post up the broadcast. Uh-oh. All right. Bear with us, people. Feel free to ask an IRC if you have any questions while we get everything set up here. And I'll do one other little fancy thing here just for fun. There. That's fun. All right. So we got that out of the way. And now we are going to start doing some screencasting right about now. Oh, that's not fun, is it? So let's see if this behaves correctly. No, that's not what I wanted. All right, this whole screen sharing thing leaves much to be desired. Okay. Now you can kind of see something. I know you get to see all the rest of LibreOffice for whatever reason, but it's the only way to get it to work. For some reason, the slides don't actually advance if you use full screen. I have no idea why. And I invite Svetlana. That worked. All right, so we're good. Hello, Svetlana.
Hey.
All right, so for the rest of the world out there, oh, looks like somebody else wants to join. Just throw that on. And no, Jen's F5 does not work, believe it or not. We've tried that. All right, so welcome to our little meet and greet for the Ubuntu Oregon local community. There we go. So first I thought I'd give a little bit of history about the LoCo, as far as I know. My name, by the way, is Walter Lepczynski. I'm relatively new, not only to the Ubuntu Oregon LoCo, but to LoCos in general. So you got to kind of bear with me as I'm kind of still to figure everything out. So the LoCo was established in 2007, and it was heavily active from 2001 or 2011 to 2012. Um, there were lots of release parties and global jams and conventions, Ubuntu hours, support stuff, and during that time, a local portal was established, Launchpad group, wiki page, mailing list, IRC channel, forums, Twitter, Flickr, Facebook, Google+. Good Lord, we have a lot of ways to get in touch. And now I believe I actually have access to all of them. Unfortunately, since about 2012, we've waned down to 27 active members, at least according to Launchpad, and just judging by the mailing list and IRC and really all the other forums that we have, it's there's not a lot of actual activity going on. So in July, I took over as I kind of found out through the grapevine that the LoCo existed and then it needed some help as the previous leader, Benjamin Carenza, was moving on to other things. And so I've been trying to figure out how we can kind of bring the LoCo up to speed. And mainly the big challenges that we have to overcome are that Oregon is a very large state. It's almost 100,000 square miles. I think it's actually 9th in the U.S. as far as states are concerned. And most of the 4 million people are in the Willamette Valley, with half being in Portland, 300,000 or so being in the Eugene area where I am, and about 200,000 in Salem. And of course there's other areas too. And that's all within an area of about 30,000 miles. So it's a fairly large portion of the state. So the question really is, how do we get all these various communities that exist together? And in light of this, given that official approval really depends upon events that we're involved in and things that we're doing in person, how do we get official approval? Because without that, we can't get things like Ubuntu to cover the cost of having a website. We used to have one. It's now deprecated. So here's my ideas on what the solution is. I would like to call it deputizing people. I don't think that as one person, one very busy person, I'm going to be able to necessarily run the show everywhere. So I think the idea is that we kind of have people in key areas willing to kind of do some of that outreach. It's not so much that we're asking people to kind of do the heavy lifting, but to act as a facilitator to provide resources. And, you know, for example, you know, we might infiltrate local Linux user groups. We could create informal events like Ubuntu hours and try to encourage a wider audience than just Ubuntu-only people. And so really the key here is that we need more face-to-face. IRC and a mailing list and all these other ways that we have to contact one another, it's good, but it's amazing what we can do with in-person contact. You can join any open source community where they have actual, you know, in-person contacts, and you can see a lot of really exciting things happen. I know I saw that when I went to OSCON this year, and it was really interesting. So we need some local meetings to gel the local community together, and then furthermore, we need larger meetings to really cement the state together, to really unite the LoCo itself. So I believe that our personal relationships with people, the networking that we do, whether it's on a small scale or a large scale, will open new opportunities for all of us and help spread the value of contribution. And I also wanted to just emphasize how important this face-to-face thing is. especially to the Ubuntu community. I mean, I realize here we are at Ubuntu Online Summit, and it's no longer in person, but Ubuntu does mean humanity, and so having a human contact, I think, is really important. So I wanted to kind of go over the different areas, the three major areas of Oregon, and kind of talk about how we're trying to sort of put this into place. So I've maybe coerced Scarlett to become the deputy for Portland, but I think that I'm just laughing because Scarlett just said I need help with 2 million people. Yeah, and that's all on Scarlett's shoulders. So really, I've been trying to encourage the notion that we don't need somebody to do something great and remarkable and put on all these shows and things, but just that we need to kind of reach out to the local community and do some networking. And so Scarlett is hopefully going to infiltrate the Portland Linux user group. I just sent her some information that I gathered when I was at OSCON, and also Free Geek, who it seems that we've done some things with in the past. Much of the past work has been in Portland. I mean, it kind of makes sense because it has the most people. So I just think in terms of numbers, it should be a pretty easy problem to solve up in Portland. And they're obviously in good hands with Scarlett. So next, I want to talk about Salem, whether they realize they're deputies or not. Cody Smith and James Bradley have already kind of deputized themselves. They have been doing one of the most consistent things with the LoCo, and that's providing Ubuntu hours on the first and second. Wait, isn't it supposed to be Thursdays? All right, well, I might have had that wrong. I'll correct that on the slides when I post them later. But you can also see them on our LoCo page. I've been trying to make sure to post them there, and on the mailing list as well. And they have this really neat flyer that is remarkable, I think, because it works to reach out to a larger community than just Ubuntu or even just Linux. So you can see the little flyer here. Admittedly, I'm sure it's rather small, but it says, "Free is easy. Meet us for coffee and we'll prove it." So ultimately, they're challenging people to come and see what Ubuntu is all about. And I think it's really great from a marketing point of view because it doesn't really say what it's about. It's kind of like, whoa, what is this? What is this free thing, and why is it easy? And I think that's really cool. And now, whether or not they've had hordes of people coming in there, I think that's kind of another thing. But I think that consistency is the key to anything that we do, and so them doing these Ubuntu hours are really valuable. For anybody that's not familiar with the notion of Ubuntu hours, there's actually a wiki page for it on the Ubuntu wiki, and the idea is basically you kind of get together for an hour and do whatever with Ubuntu, and whether it's providing support or answering questions or doing demos or encouraging contribution or membership or whatever, it's kind of anything goes. And so, I think that's something that would be really good for us to do wherever we are, and is obviously something that, as long as you enjoy a cup of coffee or whatever, you can just do on your own and say you're going to be there, and if nobody shows up, well, hey, you had a good cup of coffee. So that's a definitely good idea that we can share, and I'm going to make the flyer available to everyone through Launchpad, so you can grab it and edit it as you like for your own Ubuntu hour. So now let's talk about Eugene. This is where I am. I guess in this case the deputy is the sheriff, and I've been mostly working through the Eugene Linux users group to provide support and share members. I actually have to put you on hold a second. Sorry about this. I am at work. Oh, never mind. Somebody else is on it. Um, at the Eugene Linux Users Group, they've kind of got two things going on. One is a sort of like Ubuntu hour, I guess, that I don't necessarily come to all the time because it's not really an Ubuntu hour. It's more a Linux hour, and ultimately it boils down to people hanging around eating snacks and talking about politics. So I definitely believe that we need to have our own Ubuntu hour here. And they also have a monthly talk. This is really cool. They have a meetup page. I try to share the talks on our local page as events to come to. And basically we're reaching out to members of the community far and wide, really, beyond even the borders of Eugene, asking people to talk about various subjects that they're familiar with. I did a talk on Linux audio there. We had a talk on ButterFS. We had a talk on postfix administration. We had a talk on the shell-shock bash bug. We just had Lars from Mozilla come and talk about his crash reporting system, which is so super cool. And you know, this is a place where you can kind of gain information, but also a place where you can kind of see how to use something that maybe you've never used or really didn't know how to use. So this might be a good way for us to bring up selected items to talk about in the Ubuntu world. I know there's lots of things that Ubuntu users don't necessarily know about. You know, for example, when Ubuntu switches over to LXQT, it might be a really cool time to come and show that off. It might be good to show off Ubuntu Next, which I haven't really played around with enough yet, but that would be really good. And of course, you know, from the Ubuntu world, it might be cool to show off Plasma 5. So an idea that I had about this is that we can make presentations and share them with the LoCo as a whole. And so, you know, we don't necessarily have to be presenting it ourselves. So, you know, I might come up with something about Ubuntu and can share it with, you know, Portland and Salem and wherever, and people there locally can take it upon themselves to bring those up. So that's kind of what's going on with the Eugene Linux Users Group. The other thing I've been trying to do in Eugene is networking to find resources for further events. So I think I have a slide later about that, and if not, I'll talk about it later. To kind of talk some more about this whole idea of being face-to-face, you know, again, I want to emphasize that there's resources that we lose as a LoCo by not being officially verified by the local council. And if you really look at what really makes the membership or the verification happen, it's really having a history, and usually that's through, as Silverlion mentioned in IRC, and maybe he's saying about something different, but reporting. I mean, you need to kind of report that you've done things and there's some consistency to what you're doing, but you really need to have kind of proof of it. I mean, having the Flickr page full of events that we've been to, and it could be 2 of us, I think that would be really meaningful. So that's kind of why I said here, they can really be anything that's relevant. Just show up, take pictures, put them on the Flickr page. And, you know, post up your Linux user group happenings. Let them know about ours. Share members and be there in person. And if Ubuntu is making a presence, then I think that'll go a long way to getting our verification. Other ideas are, keeping an eye open for tech events that we can join and spread the good word of open source. Look for opportunities where we can set up a booth and spread the news. And on that topic, here's some exciting examples that I've been working on. So Linux Fest Northwest is a 14-year-old free, yes, it's free, weekend conference and expo in Bellingham, Washington in April. The focus is on Linux and other open source projects, and I've got us all set up for a booth up there, and we'll likely share the booth with some other LoCo as they have this happening at a community college, so they don't have like tons of space. But if anybody wants to come, I mean, really the only thing that needs to be covered in terms of costs outside of probably food is transportation. And I have a feeling that we could probably get that from funding that I've been made aware of that Ubuntu has. So that's something to think about. I'm really excited about that because even though it's not necessarily in Oregon, it will draw people from the Northwest, and it is a kind of large community of people that show up. And one more thing about that, even though I switched slides, is I think that if we're sharing with another LoCo, I think that'll give us a really unique opportunity to discuss with the other LoCo what their experience might have been, and maybe we can learn some things from that. So next, there's OSCON. They have announced the dates, but that's about it. So I don't really have a booth set up for us yet, but I'm really planning on it. For anybody not familiar, OSCON is O'Reilly's huge convention for free and open source software, and it's usually held in Portland in, why did I put April? It's summer, so I'll have to correct that. It's been around for about 15 years. And most of the booths there, like in the expo, are for commercial vendors of some kind or another. But there's this really cool community section, which I'm planning on being a part of. So the LibreOffice was there, Ushahidi was there, FreeBSD. There was all that's where I saw Linux Fest Northwest. That's where I saw Plug and Free Geek and lots of other things. So that'll be a really neat thing to be a part of. And if you haven't been to OSCON, it's awesome. It's probably one of the most exhausting events you could possibly go to, and that's a good thing. So the other thing that I wanted to say is we really need more outreach. We need to make our presence known and bring Ubuntu to people. So I think first and foremost we need to deal with the low-hanging fruit. We have existing Ubuntu users. We need to let them know that there's a group where they can get support and they can talk and ask questions, and encourage them to join and ultimately help contribute. We also need to reach non-Linux users and spread the good news about Ubuntu. So we need flyers, not only like the one for the Ubuntu Hour, but also like the one that Benjamin Carenza created. I should have put it on here, but it's like a 2-page thing, and it's really neat. So if you want to know about that, I'll make sure to post that up to the mailing list. And I think what we need to look at is spreading the word to places like schools and libraries, store bulletin boards, Linux user groups, anywhere we can think of dropping off a flyer. I know that at least in Portland and Eugene, we have a Laughing Planet, and they always have a place to put flyers. Just dump it there, dump a bunch there. I'll deal with printing if need be. And lastly, okay, so I have 2 more slides, I think. We need more information. in lieu of a website, I think we need to really polish the wiki page. It's got a lot of kind of old stuff on there, and I think we need to kind of use that as our main entry to what's going on. And we need to make it really clear who we are on that page and what we do. You know, I don't think it necessarily talks about support that we can offer or other things like that. So it's kind of not clear what the value is. And you know, the other thing is I think we should provide services to the local community. What businesses are there that could use support or could really use Ubuntu to maybe make their lives better? In the Ubuntu talk that I gave earlier in the summit, I talked about a school system that is taking all their old computers and throwing Ubuntu on them. And I mean, this is going to affect 60 schools and 22,000 kids. That's some awesome stuff. And you know, it took somebody reaching out to find us. What if we did it the other way? One thing that I've found in sales and marketing is that the people that can really make a difference in spreading the word are the people that are right there, and not necessarily like some big advertisement or, you know, thing like that. So I think you know, that's something that we can kind of focus on. And somebody mentioned the idea of having frequently asked questions.
Since Walter is having problems, you think we could start doing the planning on how to do some of these stuff? Because I have some ideas that I think I want to talk about. Okay, I'm gonna just wait until the stream catches up to the point where everyone can hear. One of my ideas is to maybe have some team blog or try to find Ubuntu Oregon LoCo members that are Ubuntu members, so they can be posting their blog posts about their events, their events and their experiences within the LoCo. Or maybe try to have it all into one team blog and have it reported that way. But I think having a team blog would require more work, but it would be in one place.
Hello again.
Hey, sorry about hijacking it. I was just trying to talk about the having local members who are at least Ubuntu members to blog about their experiences within the LoCo, the events and stuff, or having that on one team blog where it can be all collected in one place and posted to the Ubuntu Planet, since you're a Ubuntu member, and that can be all posted on Planet Ubuntu. But keep in mind, it requires a lot of work, more work than having multiple blogs.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I think that's something that we don't have currently, is a single source for our blogging. And I think that would be something really good to do, because then we could just sort of, show up an event and talk about something. And I think the more we're talking about local events, the more it encourages people to join in on them.
Okay. I'm done. You can move on with the slides again.
Well, incidentally, despite disappearing there because my battery is stupid, I actually I finished. That was the last slide, so you got to see everything.
Perfect timing. Locks on the side.
Right, right. Yeah, it doesn't always work out that way, incidentally. So, since we've got about 20 minutes left, I just kind of wanted to open it up to anybody that might have questions or ideas. I saw that there was some chatter going on in the LoCo or the IRC that I need to maybe catch up on.
We can also use the pad to set up walking items.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We should do that. So let me find that again. And I guess the first thing that we should really work on is having the blog. I think that would be a good thing if we can get onto the LoCo. I think, or not the LoCo, the Planet Ubuntu. I think that would make a big difference. I think, by the way.
I have added it as a action item already.
Okay. I'm gonna log in.
And assigned it to you.
Oh, goody.
But I think it should be discussed within LoCo before it becomes live.
Yeah.
To see if people are okay with it.
The other thing, well, I guess anybody can blog up there, and maybe we could just tag it with Ubuntu Oregon, and maybe figure out some sort of way to aggregate that and have a link where you can see all that aggregation.
That could work. Maybe a tag would be a better idea, but you have to keep in mind, make sure it's tagged all the time.
Right, right. Right. I'm finally looking at the pad. All right. Start up a team blog. So Micah is saying on IRC that he is a software engineer who is working on a QML app for Ubuntu Touch. and he thinks the way he can be the most valuable is to help people wanting to do app development. And he's asking how that might fit into local activities.
Yeah, you have Hackfests, you have the app development toolkit that is meant for the local to, like, teach people how to, develop and that stuff. You have the Global Jam Days. You have a lot of events you can do with a local. You just have to set them up.
Right, right. And the Global Jam, I actually didn't talk about something that I wanted to talk about as it relates to Eugene, and that's that I have secured a place where we can do a Global Jam. So that'll be upcoming at Lane Community College. Apparently they have some big area where we can kind of hang out and eat and drink and do Ubuntu-ish things. So that would be an excellent place for that. Yep. So we'll do a global jam. That's got to be something that happens. And the other thing I wanted to say is we really need to do at least some events, more than just conferences, that bring us together as a LoCo. And I think an Ubuntu Global Jam would be really good for that. I don't plan on there being one in necessarily every area in Oregon, and the release parties. The Salem guys talked about that, and they kind of suggested that that would be something best if it was at one place and everybody could kind of come to that, rather than having different ones in different places, runs by the deputies, if you will. So I kind of agree that that would be a really good way to kind of bring everybody together. I know everybody isn't able to come. I can't always come to everything. I very rarely get to Portland, and it's unfortunate because, as I said before, like Portland's the place to be. But I think that if we play our cards right, we don't have so many people in the LoCo that we can't figure out a way to make something that kind of works for everybody. So Micah asked when the Ubuntu Global Jam will be at Lane. So I'm not quite sure yet. I've been talking to a woman who runs the whole thing, and she's very excited about it. And we have yet to meet about it. So I don't want to go and say that the next Global Jam that exists is going to be the next Global Jam that we do. But if you keep an eye on the mailing list, that'll definitely be something that we post up there. And it'll also be on the LoCo portal as well. So I don't see any other questions. And off the top of my head, I can't think of any other action items. So I think that, as Svetlana was suggesting, perhaps it would be best to end this early. I really appreciate Scarlett for coming and hanging out, despite the fact that her mic doesn't work very well. I appreciate everyone's patience for me taking so long to get here and having my computer die. And I appreciate Svetlana for hanging out and kind of playing the council role there. And thanks for everybody who showed up in IRC, especially Micah. It's nice to know there's somebody out there willing to advocate about development. I think that's a really good thing. And on that note, I hope everybody enjoys a cold and rainy day, as that's what's slated for Oregon. For those of you who are elsewhere, I hope it's better. All right. Goodbye, everyone.